Y'all know, as a frugal woman or a frugal gal or frugal, if you will, when it comes to food, the first question that's always coming to my mind is how many different things can I do with this one item? I want to know, is it multi-purpose? Because that means I'm getting the most for my money. There are specific ones that are very multi-purpose, but not only multi-purpose, they are cheap. And so I'm going to show you my top 10 different foods that are absolute must-have in my kitchen. I always have them because they go a long way. Every time I go shopping, I make sure I get this, and that's potatoes. Potatoes can go a long way, and usually a 5-pound bag only costs between $1.99 and $2.99. But I love potatoes because one potato can take on so many different forms. Mashed potatoes, I make homemade French fries every single Wednesday for hamburger hump day. I make home fries or hash browns when I'm making big breakfast. You can do potato casseroles, potato salad, potato soup. I like to do roasted potatoes with some butter and rosemary. It just takes on so many different forms. I usually can have a 5-pound bag for up to 2 weeks, but you want to make sure when you store them, if you get the potatoes in a plastic bag, always take them out of the bag. And I like to store them in a basket like this here, because if you keep them in a plastic bag, then moisture will collect and then they start to go bad a lot faster. My second favorite staple to have is rice. I typically have white rice, but sometimes I like to have a smaller bag of brown rice in the house as well, because I'm vegetarian, my family, they all eat meat, but sometimes I like to have real kind of earthy meals, and so I like to have brown rice for that. It makes me feel good about myself. And the white rice though, I always get a 5-pound or 10-pound bag of rice, because you can have it in so many different ways. You can have it with butter and herbs, or you can put it in soups, you can put it in a burrito. My grandmother was really known for her rice pudding, and hers actually was really good. You can do a lot of different things with it, and to me, rice is like the color black. It goes with everything. My next favorite staple to have are tortilla wraps. These are larger than I usually have. I usually get the small fajita size wraps, but these were on sale and you can use them for breakfast burritos. We have Taco Tuesday every single Tuesday, so we use those along with some hard shell tacos. I make small tuna wraps. You can put some turkey and some cheese in one and roll it up, slice it, and make little turkey and cheese pinwheels. A lot of times on Saturdays we make quesadillas. Flour tortillas, really economical and versatile. Another staple that is an absolute must is a bag of flour. I typically will have white flour as well as whole wheat, and a 5-pound bag of flour is about $2.50. I often will make my own flour tortillas instead of buying a bag of tortillas. Depends on if I know that I'm going to have time to make tortillas from scratch. But the flour tortillas, if you buy the bag, you get about 20 for $3. Out of a bag of flour, you can make probably up to about 80 tortillas out of a 5-pound bag of flour. So I always use flour when I'm breading and frying foods. It's used in baking. I use it to make pancakes from scratch. And as long as I keep it in a cool, dry place, the flour lasts pretty good, and that's one that's an absolute must in my house. Oil, I use it every day. I like to pan fry, saute, stir fry. I used to dislike deep frying foods because I always felt like you were just wasting oil, you're just having to throw it away. So then I started using a strainer, and I will strain out any bits of fried food and just store it in a glass jar with a lid, and I store it in the refrigerator. I can just reuse it because I'm going to make the same thing each week, so I just reuse the oil. Another item that I like to have on hand all the time is tuna fish, and I usually get just regular chunk-like tuna in water. I never get it in oil. I always get it in water. It's just my preference. But I love tuna because it is cheap and it is a meat option. And really, you could have canned tuna, canned salmon, and when it's in a can, it lasts really long. This one is good until December 2026. You can have obviously tuna salad. You can make tuna salad wraps. One of the things I love to do is put some tuna in a pan with some diced onions and kind of sizzle that all up together and put that on some rice and have some Old Bay seasoning in there and a little bit of ketchup on the top. I know that sounds so cheap. Even if you did 2 cans of this, it's still less than $2 versus a whole pound of ground beef or something if you were trying to make a whole meal. Another thing I love to have around is a can of chickpeas. This is a good source of protein. Any can of chickpeas is gonna run you between 70 cents and up to probably 80 to 90 cents a can. This is a 15-ounce can. But the reason I love chickpeas, you can fix it up like tuna or chicken. So one of my favorite things to make with chickpeas is to just kind of mash it up and make chickpea salad. So you fix it up just like you would a tuna salad or chicken salad. I use like vegan mayonnaise and onions and mix it up, and then you can just still put it on bread and have your chickpea salad sandwich. I like to make chickpea patties like a crab cake or salmon croquet. I can do the same thing with the chickpeas, just season it up exactly the same way you would your salmon or your tuna or your crab. And it honestly, the flavor, as long as you put the seasonings in there, it is good to go. So I love to have a can of chickpeas. Another favorite in the bean category is some black beans. And one of the reasons I really like black beans, obviously you can use it for burritos. I don't use it for a whole lot of things, but I always like to have a can on hand because one of the things I like to do is to mash it up, and then I can mix it with my ground beef when I want to make hamburger patties, and it helps the ground beef to be stretched a little bit longer. If I'm going to talk about that in a second, because ground beef is another one of my staples, and of course any meat is going to cost you a little bit more, but again, I have meat eaters in the house, so there's they like to have their ground beef. I always get 93% lean ground beef to reduce as much fat as possible. And I think 93% lean is about the highest you can get. Usually a pound of ground beef is gonna cost, where I get it from, is about $5 a pound. We have Taco Tuesdays every single Tuesday, so we use the ground beef for the tacos. I also use ground beef for spaghetti sauce. You could use it for a meatloaf, and like I said, those black beans help to stretch the meat. So if you wanted to, you may only have to use a half a pound of the ground beef and mix it with the black beans, and that makes that $5 stretch that much more. In my household, this is an absolute must. We have to have shredded cheese. No, we don't really have to have shredded cheese. We always have to have cheese though. We love cheese in this house. Usually I get 2 8-ounce bags every time I buy it. It'll be $1.50 each bag, or 2 for $3. We use it for our tacos every Tuesday. I use it when we make quesadillas on Saturdays. And I also use a bag if I want to make baked macaroni casserole. You can use them for your grilled cheeses. You sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top of some grits. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Put them on top of your eggs. I love to have some shredded cheddar cheese in our house. When you're not sure what to make on any given day, these items in particular help me to be able to just say, oh, I've got that in the freezer, or oh, I've got that in the cabinet, and you can just pull a whole meal together. And of course, I didn't pull in my vegetables, but canned veggies are another thing I do like to have in the house. Just some canned green beans and some canned corn. So that's a little bonus for you. So I hope that you got some tips and some pointers or ideas from this video, and I will see you next time.